Good afternoon, everyone. Can you all hear me? Fantastic. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome to our third live Q&A on our Journeys in Entrepreneurship series. We've had great fun over the last 2 weeks. And even though one never has a special episode, I am particularly looking forward to this for so many reasons, which I'll share with you later. Once again, my name is Adenike Adeyemi. I'm the Executive Director for Faith Foundation, and this is part of our Journeys in Entrepreneurship series, where we showcase stories of entrepreneurial journeys from successful Nigerian entrepreneurs from the angle of one entrepreneur interviewing another. This particular episode is very, very close to my heart, and I'll tell you why. First off, the two participants are special people to me in different ways. Mrs. Ogunlesi is someone that I've admired so much. We're namesakes, as you can all tell and see, and she's been such an inspirational role model for me in the way she's run her business and really build successful business standards, modeling standards that, yes, quality standards can be done in and from Nigeria despite all our issues and challenges. And then Oyin Lewis is a friend, is a colleague, is one of our entrepreneurs at Faith Foundation, and is someone who her designs, her work ethics, and her focus on building a reputable fashion brand has been something that I've found to be very inspirational. And so when we did the interview in August last year, I thoroughly enjoyed the 40-50-minute conversation that they both had. And for those of you who are yet to watch it, please ensure that you go to our YouTube page, Facebook Watch, and all major podcast apps to view the recorded session of the interviews. Now, that was August last year that we did this interview. So much has happened since then. It's a totally new world, one we're not even sure as it keeps evolving. And so many industries and sectors and businesses have been impacted. And why this conversation is very essential, and also we expect it to be quite insightful, is also because one of the sectors that people really spoke about was the fashion space. If you think of us as Nigeria, whether children, young adults, women and men, going out, doing so many things was part of how we lived and how we operated. And I remember in April, in a lot of our fashion businesses within Faith Foundation were just wondering how they would work and adapt their business model, where their revenue streams were largely based on people going out, whether to work, whether to events, whether to programs, and now having to stay at home. So many decisions had to be made around what is the customer's taste changing to be, how are customer trends evolving, who is the customer, is the customer even changing? And how does a business within the fashion manufacturing, retail, wholesale, and across the value chain adapt itself to the changing space? So we're going to talk about this and more during this conversation. As we've done in the past 2 sessions, please put in your questions on the Q&A chat, and we will take them and respond to them. Without much ado, I would like to very much welcome Mrs. Adenike Ogunlesi. You're welcome. Hi. You're welcome. It's such a delight to see you.
Hi, Nike. I'm so happy to be here. And it's been a while.
It has been a while. And we will be catching up.
Almost a year.
Yes, it has.
Yeah, it's almost a year.
It has.
It's unbelievable.
It really is.
And so much has happened in that space. Yeah,
right.
So much has happened.
You're right. Incredible. You're welcome. You're welcome. And we'll talk about all the many things that have happened. And Mrs. Oyin Lewis, you're welcome. I'm so excited to see you. So great.
Thank you.
Yes, looking amazing as well.
Adeyemi, good afternoon, Mrs. Ogunlesi. It's so good to see you here again.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm fine.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Me too. I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I'd like to keep the ball rolling, and starting from my comments with respect to, we did that interview in August. So many things have happened. And I would definitely like to start with you, Mrs. Ogunlesi, because even before COVID, so many things had already started to happen for your business, for Ruff'n Tumble, Gazimo. There are quite a lot of things that have happened, but I want to start from a reflection point. One of the things I enjoyed so much about your live interview was you're very reflective. You're so self-aware, and you seem so in the moment with life, and that has impacted how you've made your different decisions. So now that we're here now, July 10th, 2020, if you sit and reflect about life, business, you over the last, 9 to 12 months, particularly the last 3 to 4 months, what are the many reflections that has changed, if any, if it has changed, how you view the world, how you view life, and how you even view the entrepreneurial journey that is still in progress? I really would like to hear your reflections about the last couple of months.
Thank you. So from the last interview, great hopes, great dreams, yes. Great visions for 2020. Really, in 2017, there was a devaluation of the Naira.
Yes.
And that devaluation of the Naira hit our business quite hard. And so it forced us as a business to go into our business. And it's part of my very personal retrospective journey. We went into introspective journey, I beg your pardon. We went into the business to see what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses. In the strengths, what can we amplify? What is there, and what assets can we draw more value from and create more value with for the customer? And we realized that actually we had a great asset in Gazimo Apparel, but we were limiting it to producing largely only for Ruff'n Tumble.
Okay. And so please talk a bit about Gazimo Apparel, because yes. I think for so many people it's a new business name that they probably may not know about.
So it's not new, and that's where I'm going.
Yes.
It's not new. It's always produced for Ruff'n Tumble for the past 20, 25 years. It's always been there. But it was a it had a mono sort of client, which was just Ruff'n Tumble. And I stuck to that because we have 17 stores. I wanted to make sure that we could manage the quality for various reasons. But what struck me was that we had an opportunity with Gazimo Apparel to have another revenue stream, and we were sitting on that asset. So what did it take to re-engineer it to be able to serve other customers? So the first thing was to get technical assistance. So I actually flew to Sri Lanka and I got technical partners. Then I flew to China and then got a list of machines, because people don't understand. It's not one machine that sews every part of a dress. If you're going to run a plant, it's broken down into sections. And sometimes, depending on the garment that you're stitching, different machines are used to do different things. So you can have, in a process, you can have 8 different machines that you would use to complete an outfit. And so it led me to identify the machines that we needed. I got the list, came back, tried to get money from the bank to do it. They wouldn't. Anyway, we financed it, and the machines are actually on their way. They didn't get here in time for COVID, but we had enough on ground anyway that we could use to manage COVID. So I think it was the fact that we were hit by that recession. So we took a step back and we decided to examine the business and find where else we could create value, and identified areas in which we could create value. E-commerce is another one. And right now, Ruff'n Tumble is online. You can shop online. It's a full e-commerce platform, and it will be delivered to you. We've done our first delivery to America. We've done our first delivery to Europe. It was to Switzerland. So I can proudly say that we're actually going global.
Fantastic.
You know, and that's my new trip right now.
Fantastic.
So
if I
put going global as a local business, we're now actually going global.
So can I then say that the recession ended up being a good thing, so to speak, for you, because it almost allowed you to prepare for the crisis and really review and look at your business model in ways that the suddenness of the COVID impact may have been too much for you to do?
So it's a typical example of preparedness meeting opportunity. Fantastic. We were actually prepared. We were already trying to get the orders in. So we were ready. But we hadn't retooled the machines to be able to do other things. So it was a case of, I saw the opportunity. I have these machines. They're not going to bring these things from China because we can do them locally. And I just took advantage of that opportunity. So where COVID actually dealt with us on the retail side, because we have this other business where we actually also manufacture. And that is actually what has actually supported the retail business. The fact that we have been able to grow our retail, manufacturing locally, and being able to sell through those outlets. So it enabled us to scale to a certain level. Yeah, we're not mass produced. We don't mass produce, but we've mass produced. In the last 3 months, we've made over 1 million face masks. Over 1 million. Wow. I mean, it's even sometimes when I think about it, it's like mind-boggling. But we've done it, you know. And if COVID didn't happen, we may not have known that we could actually do that, you know. And so for me, COVID is a double-edged sword, if you like, you know. It cut us somewhere, but it then opened up opportunity for us in another direction, in another part of our business, provided we were willing to take advantage of that opportunity, provided we were flexible, we were quick enough, and we moved in fast enough. And I think for me, those were the key things: the mindset, the ability to be flexible, to be agile, and to be able to say, you know what, I don't have all the answers, but hell, you know, I'm going to do this anyway. You know, I'm just going to do this because I know I can. I'm going to be like a Trump. I don't have all the qualifications to do it. I'm going to say I can do it. You know?
Thank you so much. We'll go to the mental, that mental strength and the importance of also having your mind in the right place. But I really liked what you talked about: adaptability, agility, always learning. I mean, you looked at your business and you said, you know what, we can still learn. We can still look at our value chain and see what the gaps and the opportunities for us as a business, and expand our business to meet the needs. And that's really great to hear. Oyin, over to you. You know, I remember when people talk about, and this was like in April and May, you know, when you started seeing pictures of people saying flashback to weddings and birthdays, everybody was staying at home, people were wearing literally like the same things day in, day out. Your brand is somewhat a brand that produces clothes and accessories and garments for what may typically be seen as special occasion wear. Can you give us a sense of how it's been over the last few months for you as a business, some of your own personal reflections, and even how your business has also evolved?
Okay, thank you, Adenike. So basically, I would say I would pick from Ms. Ogunlesi's conversation, because I also wrote it there that we literally had to adapt overnight. for us. You know, seeing that we had weddings in tow, we had brides who we had made outfits for that, you know, weddings had been canceled and all of that. But I think the impact of COVID wasn't that bad for two reasons. If you remember at the live interview when Ms. Ogunlesi and I had that fireside chat, we were talking about re-engineering my production, where she said I needed to break down the process, one, and two, my vision was bigger than wrapping it around one person. So I was still in that process of re-engineering the way I produce, such that it wasn't based on one person. So obviously I had just let people go. So the impact on the business wasn't that bad, in the sense that at this time we had only what we needed, as opposed to carrying the weight of, you know, different things. Yes, that was one. Unnecessary load. Two, I realized that the cheese had definitely moved. And if you notice, when COVID started, people were saying new normal became a thing to say, oh, this is a new normal, this is a new normal. And obviously there were no events, and we still had a few people who work for us here. So what was the next thing we did? We pivoted. We started looking for face mask projects to do, PPE projects to do. So we made quite a number of face masks at the time. And then we used that time to also do a new business model, because we realized that even when weddings will even start again, it will not be the same thing. We have correlated products. You know, we make the wedding dress, we make the reception dress, we sell accessories to these brides. But once the market comes back, there'll be a lot of competition from people who have stock, who haven't sold, who that's their livelihood. So what we decided to do was do a business model for every single product that we had, so that it would not be based on, we wouldn't sell based on correlation of products or based on causality. What's the job to be done? What does this bride want? What does her engagement entail? Who are her guests? What is her preference, so that we could also get all those jobs in one, because we couldn't now assume that because you buy one thing from us, you buy everything. So we built business models for each product. Yeah, so that's what we did. That's how we adapted. And basically just moved with the cheese. Moved to where the cheese moved to.
Thank you, Oyin. Thank you very much for that. One of the consistent things I'm hearing again with yourself and Ms. Ogunlesi was really understanding the customer changes, understanding that the customer you may even have had before may be a different customer that you may have now. Looking at their what we typically will say, their behaviors, and not making assumptions. So why is this person, for you in particular, why is this person purchasing the product? What would be a repeat customer? And then how do we find all of that? And then even restructuring your business completely. So going back to the lean model, what do I absolutely need to make this business be where it should be going to be? And then how do I remodel it? One question I'd like to follow through is that, and I'll start, Mrs. Ogunlesi, with you. If I look at the value chain, and again, in terms of the lockdown, one of the challenges people talk about with respect to fashion manufacturing is around, so we talked about tools and equipment and machinery. That's number one. And then also personnel, so people, because there's also, I mean, I'm not in the space, but for quite a number of our entrepreneurs in the space, one of the things that they talk about is lack of that human resource and capacity to help to maintain standards and quality assurance. So with the lockdown that has happened and it's gradually being eased, how have you been able to address those challenges along your value chain and along the critical sectors that are also important for you to move this product and get them out to the standards and the levels that you require it to be?
Okay, so I'm not quite sure that I understand your question.
Yes.
So is it about getting products to market, or is it about systems, structure, and processes?
Okay, so it's more around the system, structures, and processes, and the people components. Okay. So the example I was trying to use was, if you're doing a retail business, and this is your space, or manufacturing, let me say that, there is the requirement to have the systems and processes that enable you to have the standards that are consistent for the volume of the products that you're doing. Part of the challenge people have typically said in a country like Nigeria is that the human resource challenges we have, and then also even the equipment that you need to also help to reduce those errors, the issues around that. So how have you been able to address that, particularly with the limitations around the lockdown and the movement restrictions?
So as an organization, to start off, we consider ourselves a learning organization. So there's always a lot of training that is always going on in our organization. And typically when we bring people into that space, we take them through a training process of what it is, and then find what it is that they're good at so that we can put them in that space if we need them in that space. So we don't run a system where one person completes a garment. We run a system where the garment is broken down into sections and a group of people will complete the garment. So you become skilled. They say that repetition is the mother of all mastery. You repeat, by repeating the same process, you are then able to become very good at it. Yeah, but that also takes time. So for example, with COVID, we suddenly needed more hands because we got an order of 100 and something thousand, and there was a deadline of a week. The first thing was to take the item, break it down into the number of processes that it would take, who are the number of people that you need in each process, from 360, looking at it 360, looking at the entire process 360, and then drawing up the number of people you need, the time it will take to sew. And the new people we brought in didn't always get it right. So it meant that it slowed down the process because you now needed to appoint our own people who should have been machinists, now standing with them to teach them, because we needed an output that we wanted to achieve and we didn't want to drop the quality. So that's one of the ways in which we did that. We didn't have all the paperwork, for example, all the packaging, all the, so many things hit us all at the same time. Because yes, it was a business that we had thought about, but we had given it a name, we had done all of that, but all the letter-headed paper, this, that, everything just hit us like a barrage, like a wave. And we needed to sort so many things out all at the same time. But again, it speaks to having good managers. So when you have good managers in a business, you are not alone in that business. They are managers and they're good because they know they have some kind of expertise, which they bring to the table. It's easy to map out a strategy, and then it becomes easy to execute because each person understands the value they bring to that particular line of, to that particular process in the line. Yeah. So my performance manager became a factory manager because he was good with numbers and he could run all the figures to get the numbers that could be made in a day, the people that we needed, the everything. My internal control people became quality inspection people. So again, we just retooled people within the business because the retail wasn't doing anything. The stores were all closed. So who were our best salespeople? We had them on the phone, calling people, picking up calls, offering the products, So it was a beehive of activities where people's minds were open. I must say, people's minds were open to the idea. And I looked back and they were all there with me. And so it was able to achieve this. We were able to pivot because there were people there who would support the vision that I had and help it become a reality. So for me, the people are fundamental. The mindset of the people are fundamental. And if people don't fit, don't force it. A handshake, goodbye. It's okay. I'm not in the school of forcing things that work. There's no need, it's punishment. Let's just say goodbye to each other. No, seriously. So the people who key into your vision, who are connected into your vision, who like what it is you're doing, who want to be part of the story, who are energized by the vision. My goodness, the amount of passion and energy they will bring in, you will find that you as the leader, as much as they are feeding off you, you are also feeding off them. And so I think that was what I was totally and utterly blessed with, that I had a team of people that saw the possibility and were ready to move. So that's how we were able to overcome some of those things. I mean, getting the people here, we had to get BRT buses. We had to sanitize the inside of the BRT buses. We had to have hand sanitizers in the BRT buses. We got a caterer that was cooking for 250 people every day throughout the lockdown when we were working. You know, so I guess whatever it takes is what you give it. And this was like a call to serve, a call to support. So for us, it wasn't about profit.
Yes.
It was about being able to support. It was about being able to show what was possible in Nigeria. Why must we talk about China? Why must we think of going to make cloth masks in China, for God's sake? Why? So, I mean, if anything was a red rag in front of a bull, that was it for me. And so I was challenged, and, you know, and I challenged my entire team, and I put myself up and I put myself out. You know, I showed them I was willing to take the personal risk of coming out, of coming to try, but I would take all of the safety precautions, all of the WHO precautions, wearing the mask, washing your hands, everything. We made sure that we did it. We're still doing that. Move the machines so that there's social distancing among machines, you know, and all those kind of things. So we had like a week, less than a week to do this, because we had an order that needed to be fulfilled in a week. And so it was wild. But it was, you know, I think for me, it was an exciting time. You know, after the initial, oh my God, this isn't what 2020 was supposed to be like. After the initial, no, this isn't happening, you know, to, oh yes, it is happening. So get with the program, wake up and smell the coffee.
Yes.
It is happening, you know. Yes, there were lots of lofty dreams. So how do you use what you have now? How does what you have now become useful and relevant in the present state of affairs? And for me, it was, we have the assets, we've got the people, we've got the material assets, we've got the people, hell, we're going to do this. And that was it.
Really. Yes, and I saw one of the videos of you and the business about 6 or 7 weeks ago, and it really was inspirational. You know, everything we have to solve a problem is in our hands. It is being able to identify that. And I like how you talked about, just one of the things you also said during the interview was around being able to identify people and bringing out the best in people, you know, and saying, okay, if this person can show potential in this area, what are the skills this person can have that can be diverted to this other area? So thank you for that. Oyin, Lewis, please, over to you again. How have you been able to get that motivation, work with the people around you, whether your direct staff or the other team that you needed, and walk through the last few months?
I'd say that there's nothing more to add to what Mrs. Ogunlesi has said, because it's pretty much what we had done, you know. But what I would say, you know, was major for me was using what I had to do what we needed to do and remain visionary in the challenges that we had. What is the end goal? We had to work with the end in mind. But every single thing Mr. Ogunlesi has said, is exactly what we've done.
Fantastic. So, Mrs. Ogunlesi, during your interview, one of the things that struck everybody, that me, myself, the team, and every time I replayed that episode, was Oyin had asked the question around your entrepreneurial journey, and then some significant changes that happened. And you responded in such a philosophical way, if I would say that, by being introspective, to say that, you know what, if I look at every challenge and situation I have, the journey of self-awareness is the journey that starts with everything I need to do, being mindful of every decision one makes as a person, as a family member, as a leader that is building a business. And one of the challenges that this period, a lot of people have said, was really around the mental health and space. Because yes, we can say, okay, use what you have at your moment to build and expand your business. But if you can't even think to see what is in your hands, you can't see the opportunities beyond you. So how would you advise, because I'm not going to ask how have you been able to do it, because I see you do it over and over again, but how do you advise, how would you advise entrepreneurs with a particular emphasis on women who at this time are also juggling so many priorities? So there's so many of our women entrepreneurs who are supporting their families, their homes, doing homeschooling, leading businesses and all of that. How can one at this time, and obviously going forward, continue to be self-aware and really take on good mental health behaviors? And why is it even important to do that? Sorry, I hope my question isn't long-winded.
No, it's interesting. You know, then I always say everything begins with self, and everything begins with you. And what we all have to recognize is that we are a sum total of the choices and the decisions that we have made throughout our lives. So if you look at your life today, it is a reflection of the choices that you have always made. And until we get to a position where we are able to take responsibility and be in the driving seat of our own lives, we're always going to hold somebody else responsible. And insofar as you're always going to hold somebody else responsible, then you're never going to really get where it is you want to get to, because somebody else is pushing your boat. But if you take the reins of the ship, you know, and I see a lot of, I think I have such great admiration and respect for Nigerian women, because they're queens of multitasking. All to do is to look after ourselves. And as a woman, you have to be and single-minded about looking after your mental health. And you have to have, who do you want to become? What kind of leader do you want to become? What kind of woman do you want to become? What kind of wife do you want to be? What kind of mother do you want to be? And you have to look through your entire life around your spirituality, around your career, around wealth, around health, around your relationships. And you have to sort of like elicit your values. What is important to you? The last thing that is important to me is to be at an Owambe party every weekend. It's not on my radar, because it doesn't add any value unless I'm particularly close to the person. And if I'm particularly close to the person, when I go there, I will dance all the stress in my body out with no apologies either. Honestly, seriously, you know. But it is important that we go on that introspective journey where we sit down and we say, this is where I am. This is where I want to get to. In between where I am and where I want to get to are my beliefs. What I believe is possible for me is on that spectrum. It's you can't run from it. Who I think I am is on that spectrum. So who do I say I am? And it is without getting spiritual, but you can't get away from we are spiritual beings. So it doesn't matter if you're going to the mosque or if you're going to the church, you have to be rooted and grounded in something that feeds your very soul and the essence and core of who you are. So that Hello?
We're here. We're right here.
Okay, I seem to have lost everybody at one point.
Yes.
So, okay.
Yes, my apologies. I think I got cut off by my internet. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm here.
Fantastic. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I just went off. Yes. Okay. Thank you. So one question I want to ask about opportunities, and this is from one of the questions that just came in from one of our social media pages. Somebody said that it seems like most of us in the fashion business space, in the fashion space, are now into into mask manufacturing. Is that the only opportunity that we see now for the business? And if no, what are some of the other opportunities that you will try to encourage and advise other businesses within the fashion space to look at?
So I didn't hear your question.
Yes. Yes. So there's a question that came in terms of the opportunities within the fashion space for fashion entrepreneurs. Okay. So one of the questions was that it seems that most businesses within the fashion space are now into making of face masks. Is that the only opportunities for fashion entrepreneurs in the space? If not, what are some of the other type of products that fashion entrepreneurs can look to producing at this particular time? You're on mute, ma.
Okay, so of course not. Face masks are not the only things. There's a lot of opportunity in the garment industry in Nigeria. We've seen now that there are great needs in the medical space, and that there's more things that we can supply in the medical space. So you've got medical scrubs, you've got the hospital gowns, you've got all kinds of coveralls, bed sheets, pillowcases. The opportunities are abound. There's school uniforms, there's security uniforms. There's so many, the opportunities, the gates are wide open. What we need is to be sure that we have the quality of fabric that we require to be able to meet all those needs locally. So for me, I think we've more than shown that there's an opportunity there, and I think we should take full advantage of it.
Yes.
So there's lots of other things you can do. There's a lot of young designers who I feel should focus on growing their brands, not talking to tailors. So you have a store, you can plan your collection, you can work with somebody like us to produce them so they're well made, they're cut properly so they fit properly. The possibilities are endless, really. The possibilities are they're endless.
So speaking of the possibilities, if the possibilities are endless, one can still not grow beyond the environment with which we operate in. So for you as a business, what are still the critical challenges that you feel that whether from the government space or from investors looking to invest and support in this significant potential that we're seeing, what are still the key gaps that need to be plugged to allow businesses within the fashion space to fulfill the potential that we see?
I think the biggest drawback we have is the state of the Nigerian textile mills. Something has to be done so that people who really want to invest in the textile mills can invest and can produce material that can be used it can produce good quality fabric. Because I also don't agree with you that you cannot go beyond the limiting spaces, the limiting space of Nigeria. That's not true. We have a friend who farms hibiscus, and they send it out by the container load all over the world. They're still operating in this space. I mean, we've opened up our e-commerce platform, and we're getting international orders. So, there are no borders like that, But what we need is in the fashion space, we need to sit down with government for government to really understand the difference between us manufacturers, garment manufacturers, and the textile manufacturers. Yeah, and they can't meet all our needs, and we have a big market that things are being dumped in. So can we do some kind of a backward integration where we can bring in some of the elements that we require and build capacity locally? We grow a market, and then you can have investors coming into that space to invest in the plants that will do those things, because it has economies of scale, and it makes sense. You see? So I think we need to dialogue a lot still with government. I think we also need to form strong associations that can speak to the government.
I was just going to ask about that, because one of the things we've been advising a lot of our entrepreneurs to do is to also look at relevant trade groups and business associations, particularly in relation to their sectors. Are there any existing at all at the moment?
Yes, there is. There's the Nigerian Textile and Garment Association. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and we have to differentiate between, I'm a garment manufacturer. I'm a fashion entrepreneur. I invested in retail and I invested in manufacturing. So I happen to design children's clothing because I like to design children's clothing. But I would not call myself a designer first. I would call myself a fashion entrepreneur, because that's what I am. With investments, big investments in both of those spaces. So that's what I would call myself. So we need also to be able to draw lines and know who is operating where, who needs to serve who, so that each person can build strength where they are. This idea of everybody having 6 tailors and making, how do we want to grow like that? We need economies of scale. We need to be making 100,000, 200,000 units of things, 50,000 units of things. That's the scale we should be operating to, So those are some of the things I would like to see. I would like to see government policy that supports the industry, fully understanding the value that the industry brings in terms of the sheer volume of jobs that can be created literally overnight. Because to train people in the technical capacities, 3 months, 6 months, if they're committed, they will learn. They're not learning to cut and sew. They're only learning to be part of a process. Yes, they're only learning to be part of a process in the production of a garment. So with consistency, they will master it. You see, but then we need engineers. We need electricians, because they're machines. If something happens to the thread, you need an engineer to fix it so that the thread is even. It's, the standards can meet any standard anywhere globally. It's about global standards. I'm looking forward to getting orders from America, because now everybody realizes that they cannot rely on China alone to produce for them. So for me, we are positioned and positioning ourselves to be able to do international orders. And that's why we have very strict quality assurance policies, HSC standards. We are very strict, and which we have to comply to,
So Oyin, same question in a similar way to you. What are the opportunities that you continue to see for entrepreneurs within your space in terms of pivoting at this time, and even some of the gaps, similar to what Mrs. Ogunlesi has said, that you think that are important, that also create opportunities for now and in the future?
So Adenike, let me make a caveat. You ask me questions that Mrs. Ogunlesi answers on a but to reinvent the wheel. The thing is, most of these thoughts are things I've thought about. So just
oh dear, I think she's frozen.
I'm not sure it's my, yes.
We can't hear her. I can't hear her.
Like while producing Tessie.
Yes, okay, we can hear you now.
Okay, so I said I'm not going to reinvent the wheel, but I'll just say that I noticed gaps in, our fashion value chain when making this face mask, and that was our reliance on export it's like a no-brainer. We don't even think about these things. And we actually have people, we have the human resource. It's just that they're not skilled and they can be trained. For example, like when you're buying materials for, purchasing materials for face masks and things like that, I realized that only people with large inventories who had value systems will sell at the normal price. There was a natural price hike. That already told me something, that we have the people who are jobless, and then we have a need, but we do not have the raw materials. We can start producing these things like Ms. Ogunlesi has said. What are we doing with our textile mills? What are we doing, even as much as Ashoke? What are we doing with those weavers? How are we, because people are exporting these things even at this time. What are we doing with those weavers? How are we making sure that these people also have things to do? Why aren't we backward, as in even small companies? Why aren't we collaborating? Why aren't business to, because we've talked about this, even in entrepreneurial spaces, where can business to businesses collaborate in such a way that we can manufacture this thing as a whole, export these things, and add value to this country? These are things that we can do. These are gaps. We don't have to have finished products to know that there's an opportunity here. We can actually go back to raw materials, produce fabric, produce raw materials to make these things happen. We can do it, basically. Now, those are my thoughts on what to do.
Thank you, Oyin. There's a question for you, Oyin. Can you share 2 strategies which you've used to keep abreast of the competition?
When you say competition, in what?
Yeah, so it's a question from YouTube.
Or
yes. Yeah, so it's one of the live questions from YouTube.
I'm asking that. Sorry?
Yeah. It's a bit frozen a bit.
Hello, can you hear me? Yes, it's
okay. We can hear you now.
What I'm asking is strategies. Okay, you can hear me. Okay, so what I'm asking is it as we pivoted during the pandemic, or with our core business?
Well, I guess you can answer from both perspectives. I'm not sure what exactly.
What I'll say, the strategy, what we basically did was, like I said, we kept things to barest minimum. Things like, for example, there were some people on the team that once the pandemic struck, their positions were automatically irrelevant and we were carrying baggage. We let them go. There were hard conversations that we had to make at the time, but if we're not going to eat into our business savings and not have a business tomorrow, we definitely had to have this conversations. That was one of the things we did. 2, we collaborated with businesses. So for example, we had said that weddings had stopped. So what we did was, like an Ashoke maker, rather than them tailor their outfits, we offered them discounts. Come to us, let us make these outfits for your bride. Let it be a business-to-business transaction. We collaborated with these people in such a way that they could service their clients in their own expertise. At the same time, we could also help them service clients in our own expertise to them as well. So they were making money. It was like scratch my back, I scratch yours. So those are the 2 strategies we used at this time.
Thank you. Mrs. Ogunlesi, what are your top 3 daily habits that make you feel unstoppable as a business person in Nigeria? That's a question from YouTube.
Oh, my daily yoga, meditation, exercise, reading, breakfast. I never miss those.
Okay.
That's my morning routine. Afternoon, I eat my lunch because my brain needs the fuel. I try and listen to a podcast during my lunch if I can. But basically, it's spirituality, habits that support my spirituality, not necessarily about church, but it help keep me grounded, help keep me connected. And yoga and meditation do that for me beautifully. Exercise, power walking and running, I love it. It releases all this. You see, the beautiful thing about yoga is that you would discover you had muscles in parts that you never knew you had muscles in. So it forces you, your body stiffens up because it resists. And so you have to overcome that resistance. And so my yoga is the foundation of everything that I do, because it's where I first meet resistance and where I have to face resistance and dissolve the resistance. So that's number one for me. And I don't compromise on that at all. So it's yoga, it's meditation, it's exercise, it's reading. For reading, you can only give what you have. You need to nourish your brain. You need to be abreast of trends, know what's going on in your industry. You need to fuel the kind of person you want to become. So the kind of person you want to become, what are the things you need to be doing? So for me, a personal development plan that looks to what I'm reading, what lessons I'm learning, what challenges I'm facing, and how do I find solutions? So becoming an outcomes thinker, keeping the end in mind and what it is I want to see at the end of the day. So reading for me is nourishment, and also nourishes me both spiritually as well as knowledge-wise. And you need that mental resilience to grow, to be unstoppable in Nigeria. And the thing is that Nigeria prepares you for mental resilience from the day you are born. I mean, if you want to grow mental muscles, live in Nigeria. You will grow mental muscles, whether you like it or not. But not everybody can grow those mental muscles. Some people can't cope. So what I advise people to do is look for a coach. Look for a good coach. Get somebody who you can sit with, you can break everything down with, and go on that inward journey where you literally map out your life on paper. My life is mapped out on paper, literally. And that's what I'm playing out. And I love it, because I'm in the driver's seat and I'm driving the car of my life, So those habits, I live by them. And I drink water first thing in the morning.
Feeding and nourishing your mind, your body, your soul.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, that's it.
Yes, I think this is also addressed to you, Mrs. Ogunlesi. You talked about partnering with growing brands. Someone wants to know how they can be part of that.
So I didn't say partnering with growing brands. What I said is young people want to design. They want to own their own brands. What I'm saying is they don't need to work with tailors. They should look for garment manufacturing facilities that they can bring their collection to and they can produce for them, so that their energy is not dissipated into the tailor turned up, he didn't turn up, he sewed it well, he didn't sew it well. They can actually begin to focus on growing brands, because we want to see more Nigerian brands. We want to see them in the malls. We want to see Nigerian brands everywhere. We want to see them online. We want to see them go global. It's difficult to do that if you're doing retail and managing tailors.
So on that, I want to ask a question around like the education space and the curriculum being designed in such a way that meets the skills and the market gaps. If you had your way in redesigning or influencing the education curriculum from post-secondary school and then tertiary level, what are the critical curricula or a skill set that you think that are important for us to have? And when I say the education system now, I'm talking about vocational and technical education, formal education, and all from secondary school. How would you like to see the education curriculum remodeled so that people can see the different opportunities and gaps within this?
I think a lot of the challenges we have with the education system is that it doesn't teach people to think. It teaches people to regurgitate. So people don't think in terms of outcomes. And you can't do anything if you don't think in terms of outcomes, because it is the outcome that you want that is you are now going to walk backwards from, to be able to then say, okay, these are the things that I need. These are the skills I need. These are the people that I need. this is the kind of training that I need. So if the first thing I would do is about how to think and how to think in terms of outcomes. The next thing I would do is, what are the skills, what are the industries that we have? And what are the skills that those industries require? So how do we partner with people from all over the world who are the best in those industries to teach our own people and build institutions that can teach our own people? So they don't come and teach and go, but we actually institutionalize the learning so that we then also begin to research and develop those learnings and use them to meet whatever the needs of the day are at any given time. So I want to see more technical skills, more people who are more skilled using their hands. An electrician comes to do something in your house and he could electrocute himself as well as everybody in your house. We can't fix a fridge, you know, there's just too much. A mason can't lay the block straight anymore. A painter paints and it's like, what? You did what? So I would like to see pride in pride and dignity of labor. You know, people have lost the pride. I did this, and to be able to stand by it and say, I know I did a good job, because that's how I was trained. I was trained to be excellence, to deliver excellence. So we have lost that pride in work. We have lost that dignity in work. It's slap dash, I've done it, man, I finished it. What is the quality of what you did? And what was your outcome? What did you want to achieve? So I would throw away the entire curriculum and I would start again. Honestly, I would raise people on how to think, because we don't think. And we need to think.
Critical thinking, analytical skills, and then value. I think that I did appreciate the person who used to make my clothes so much until one day when I traveled for a period and I needed to have clothes adjusted. And I now went to, I think she was a Korean tailor, and she said $80. And I was like, $80, how much did I buy? How much did I even make it? And she actually walked me through the process. So I'm going to take this thing apart. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, you know? And I really respected that. And you were talking about like value. I remember when City and Guilds was a thing, and it was really around the standard, and you could have those options. So whether you did City and Guilds or you finished with the bachelor's, you know, the world really was your oyster. Really was your oyster. So we have 1 more minute left. And I really just wanted to say thank you to both of you. I don't know if there are any final words as we wrap up this conversation from either. I think Oyin, I'll start with you.
Sorry, did you say me or Oyin?
I said Oyin, I'll start.
Go ahead, Oyin. Go ahead.
I'll say my final words to fashion entrepreneurs is just be excellent. The honest truth is, if you're excellent, you stand before kings. Because there's this roughshod mindset of do things quickly, be here quickly, and all of that. No, excellence is a process. It's a commitment to purpose. You have to be addicted to what you're doing, show persistence. And, you know, at the end of the day, we'll be where Ms. Ogunlesi is, and even more.
Yes, way more.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So,
Mrs. Ogunlesi.
What I would like to say to everyone is, if you go through history, you will see that there have been many pandemics, there have been world wars, there have been recessions, there have been all kinds of things have happened in the last 100 years. And the people who have survived it, the human mind has the capacity to endure and the capacity to persist and the capacity to commit when it wants to. And so what I would say to everyone out there is this too will pass. It's just a passing phase. And, you know, until a seed dies and rots in the ground, it is in the darkness of the ground that it begins to spring up and start to bring forth new leaves. And that is the way I see COVID. It is a season of darkness, but there must always be light. And you should be that light. Make up your mind to be a bright, shining light for this beautiful country, Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ogunlesi. Thank you very much, Mrs. Oyin Lewis. That was really a wonderful conversation. And thank you to everyone who tuned into our live Q&A. I will please encourage you, please make sure you visit all our other channels for their interview conversation. It was really insightful, it was very engaging, and so much more to learn. And I really wish everyone safe, I wish everyone well. And to round up, I'll use the words, there's a plaque just behind Mrs. Ogunlesi. There was also a plaque behind her in the interview. When we did the interview, it says, be kind, I think be honest, and be courageous.
Yes.
I'm wishing everybody an amazing weekend and stay safe, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Adeyemi and Ms.
Oyin, bye. Nice to see
Bye,
you again.
Again. That was
Take
therapy.
care. We must have lunch.
Yes, we should. I'll text you.
Okay. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye, Ms. Adeyemi.